waking up with the weight of longing pressing down on the chest, trying to ignore it but unable to. Your embrace comes back as a ghost in the memory, warm, safe, unique, feeling the touch, the scent, the presence that once meant everything. And then the tears come. Pride screams, but the truth is stronger, to err, to push away, to hurt. And now regret eats away from within. If only I could turn back time, everything would be different. But what about now? Is there still time? Is there still a way back? If there is willingness, a conversation can change everything. Forgiveness can still happen. But the decision needs to be made before it's too late. Longing doesn't ask for permission. It arrives without warning, weighs on the chest, tightens the throat, and brings back everything that seemed buried. It's a haunting that comes in silence, in absence, in loss. On Sunday morning, without any warning, the memory of your embrace took over. They say time heals, but they don't mention that before that it hurts. It exposes the mistakes, the words that should have been said, the gestures that were held back by indecision. The memory of your embrace was not just a distant thought, it was a shock, because right there, in that moment, it became clear. There is no other like it. Was it a mistake to let everything come to this point? Yes. Did pride prevent an apology? Absolutely. But now, without the protection of ego, without the curtain of time to mask the feelings, everything is bare, exposed. The truth is singular. I miss you. I miss you. What do you do when you realize you were wrong? How do you go back when the distance feels too great? The answer is frightening because it involves something difficult, taking the first step, breaking the silence. But what if it's too late? What if you are no longer willing to listen? That fear eats away, paralyzes, but it cannot be greater than the need to speak, to try. So here it is. If there's still space, if there's still a chance, a conversation could change everything. It might be uncomfortable, it might hurt to remember what happened, but worse than that is carrying the weight of regret forever. It's strange how pride, which once felt like a shield, now feels more like a prison. And what if it's too late? What if someone else has taken that place, if your embrace has already been replaced? There's no answer to that right now, just uncertainty mixed with a hope that refuses to die. But there's one thing that's certain. If nothing is said, if no action is taken, nothing will change. Time will keep passing, distance will grow, and what is now longing might turn into just an eternal void, with no possibility of return. So what to do now? If there were a way to erase everything, to go back to the exact moment everything started to crumble, it would be easy, but that doesn't exist. What exists is now, and now calls for a choice. Speak or remain silent. Try or give up. Silence has already hurt enough. Doubt has weighed too heavily. If there's something to say, let it be said. If there's a step to take, let it be taken. Because living with the uncertainty of not having tried can be much worse than receiving a painful answer. And then what will be done? The phone is in hand, the number is still saved. The familiar touch of the screen brings memories that burn. How many times have you stared at that screen without the courage to type? How many messages were written and deleted before they were even sent? And now, here it is again. The heart racing, the mind battling between acting or staying silent. But silence has caused too much damage. Absence has already screamed everything it needed to. Guilt weighs down. Regret suffocates. Pride, which once seemed so important, now dissolves in the face of longing. But is there still time? Is there still space for an apology? Or has everything already turned into just a closed chapter, with no chance of being rewritten? It's impossible to know without trying. The fingers tremble, but still they begin to type. Hi, I know this message might be unexpected, but I needed to talk, not to justify anything, nor to absolve myself of guilt, just to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what was said, for what wasn't said, for what was done, and for what I failed to do. I know time has passed, but some things still linger inside me, and one of them is the memory of your embrace. Do you still think about it? The message sits there, frozen on the screen. The finger hesitates before hitting send, because after this there's no turning back. The mind screams to delete it. The fear of silence as a response, or worse, indifference, weighs more than anything else. But the truth is one, nothing can be worse than this endless doubt. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and send. Time seems to freeze. The screen is stared at as if it were possible to control the response with the power of thought. 3 dots appear in the conversation. The heart races, but before any word can come from the other side, the dots disappear. The chest tightens. Fear takes over. Was the message read and ignored? Will silence be the only response? Time drags on. Minutes feel like hours. The phone is set aside, but the eyes keep returning to the screen every second. And then the notification pops up. A response. The heart speeds up. The hands sweat. I remember your embrace too. The words are simple, but they carry a huge weight, because right there within them lies a crack, a space for something that seemed impossible, a new beginning. What to do now? How to continue this conversation? What to say after this? The mind fills with possibilities, but deep down, there's only one thing that's certain. The first step has been taken, and sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. The chest tightens. The heart beats quickly. The eyes scan those words over and over. I remember your embrace too. It's little, but it's a lot at the same time. It's not a cold cut, it's not indifference. It's a sign, a crack opened in the wall that time has built. Fingers return to the screen. Thousands of possible responses flash through the mind, but nothing seems adequate. What do you say after that? How do you continue a conversation that carries so much weight? Take a deep breath. Can't get it wrong now. Cannot turn this into a generic apology, into a superficial conversation. If there's a chance, however slim, to rebuild something, it needs to be genuine. Type, delete, type again. Until finally, the words come out. I'm glad you still remember, because it's been impossible to forget. Send it before fear makes you delete it. The waiting returns. The anxiety of not knowing what comes next. The mind creates scenarios all possible. Maybe the response will come quickly, maybe it will take a while, maybe there won't be a reply at all. But the notification arrives sooner than expected. The longing hurts. Yes, it hurts. A lot. The response feels more like a catharsis than just a simple comment. It has weight. It has feeling. Fingers return to the screen. I know, and I regret it so much. I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you. I know time has passed, but it still makes sense to me. You still make sense to me. Seconds after sending, the mind starts to wonder if it was too much, but there's no turning back now, and once again the 3 dots appear on the screen. The heart races. The response arrives. Why just now? It's fair. The question is heavy with everything that was left unresolved in the past. Hurt, doubt, maybe hope. The answer needs to be honest. Can't run away. Because only now did I have the courage. Because only now did I understand how important you were. Because only now did I realize that no one else has filled that space. This time, the silence lasts longer. Minutes pass like hours. The phone becomes a weight in the hands, and then one more message arrives. If it had been earlier, it would have been different. The chest tightens even more. But there's no anger in those words. There's a lament, a hard truth to swallow. I know, but can I still do things differently now? The ellipsis appears again, disappears, reappears, disappears once more. The waiting is tormenting, the uncertainty torturous, but there's no turning back. A notification pops up. One last message. I don't know. And that's it. It's not a yes. It's not a no. It's a maybe. It's a space between what was and what could be. It's a chance. Now what to do with it? The eyes scan the screen once more. I don't know. 3 words. Small but full of meaning. It's not closure. It's not a definitive break. But it's also not an open invitation. It's an uncertain space, a hesitation loaded with everything that has been lived. What to do with that? How to transform this uncertainty into something real, something concrete. The fingers touch the screen again, but nothing seems right. Any wrong word could turn that I don't know into a no. But silence can also cause everything to die before it even begins. Breathe deeply. Type slowly. I understand. Pause. The mind struggles to choose the right words. There's no rushing. Nothing can be forced. I don't expect an answer right now. I don't even know if there's anything to say. I just needed to talk. I needed to tell you how I feel. And if one day you want to talk, I'll be here. Send. The phone is set aside. The heart continues to race, but now there's a different lightness. Because for the first time in a long time, there's no longer the weight of doubt. Silence can come. It can last days, weeks, maybe forever. But this time there's something different. This time something has been done. What happens next no longer depends on just one side. And sometimes that's the most you can do. The phone sits there still, but the mind does not. Every second of silence weighs heavily. Even having said that I wasn't expecting a response, the anticipation still lingers. It's impossible to turn off the heart. The uncertainty hurts just as much as the longing does, but time passes. Minutes, hours, no response, no sign. And then the notification appears. The heart races. The message is short. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I read and reread it. There are so many ways to interpret those words. It could be a goodbye in disguise, a gentle way to wrap everything up. But it could also be a request for time. This time, the response isn't immediate. I need to think. Pressuring now would be a mistake. Forcing something that isn't healed yet would just drive us further apart. But ignoring, allowing the distance to harden, that feels wrong too, I type slowly. I understand, I really do. I just want you to know that when you're ready, if you're ready, I'll still be here. I send it. The phone is set aside. I take a deep breath. There's nothing more to say for now. The space needs to be respected. Now, everything is in the hands of time. And this time, all that's left is to wait. Days go by. The phone no longer feels so heavy in my hands, but the anticipation is still there, silent, persistent. No response has come, no new sign, just emptiness. But something inside me has changed. The anguish of doubt no longer consumes me like before, because now the certainty of having tried brings a different kind of peace. It doesn't mean that the longing has disappeared, nor that the desire to turn back time has vanished, but there's a relief. Nothing is stuck in my throat. The nights are still long. Thoughts still roam through what was and what could have been. But life goes on, and then suddenly something happens. The phone vibrates. An unexpected message. Can I ask you something? My heart races again. My mind races in 1,000 directions. Sure, ask away. The response comes quickly. Why now? After all this time, why did you decide to talk? The question had been asked before, but now it feels more direct, more intense. The fingers hesitate for a moment, but there's no more room for lies or empty answers. Because I didn't want to carry this alone anymore. Because I tried to move on, but nothing filled the space you left. Because I realized that time doesn't erase everything, and because I needed the courage to admit I was wrong. The response is sent. Silence returns, but this time it doesn't last long. I also tried to move on. The chest tightens. And did you succeed? The weight is now unbearable. The answer could change everything. The notification pops up. I think never completely. An invisible weight lifts, because for the first time, the distance seems smaller. Now the question lingering in the air is, what now? The eyes scan the screen. I think never completely. The words carry a truth that constricts the chest, but at the same time they bring something that didn't exist before. Possibility. What to do with this? How to move forward from here? The fingers touch the screen again, but there's no room for empty answers. Everything said from now on needs to be sincere. I don't know what this means to you, but for me, it means there's still something, even if it's just an echo of what we were. But I don't want to assume anything. Can you tell me how you feel? The message is sent quickly, and the weight settles in again. The seconds seem longer now. The heart races, because this answer could define everything. The 3 dots appear, disappear, reappear, and then the message arrives. I feel like something is unfinished, that maybe we gave up without really trying, but I'm also afraid to open that door and end up getting hurt again. The chest tightens, it's understandable. No pain disappears just because time has passed. No scar fades just because of regret. I understand your fear. I don't want to hurt you again. I know that words can't erase what happened, but I'm willing to listen. No rush, no pressure, just to hear you if you want. The response doesn't come immediately. The weight now feels heavier. Minutes go by. The phone is set aside, but the mind remains trapped in that conversation. Then a new message arrives. I don't know if I'm ready for everything, but can I see you? No promises, no expectations, just a conversation. My heart races. This is more than I could have hoped for. Yes. Whenever and wherever you want. Time stands still. My breath catches. The response comes shortly after. Tomorrow, at the same place where it all began. And in that moment something changes, because now there's a meeting set. A real chance to look into each other's eyes, to say everything that hasn't been said, to maybe start over. What will happen after this? It's still a mystery, but for the first time in a long time, hope doesn't seem like an illusion. And now everything depends on this moment. The meeting is set. The past still weighs heavily, but hope exists. What would you do? Comment, leave your like, and subscribe for more stories.